To an American, it may be a toss-up between the 500s of Daytona Beach and Indianapolis. The French display no such indecision. To them, it's Le Mans, while a Belgian will probably opt for Spa on the 24-hour Enduro. Yes, there are many motor racing classics, but for Australian fans, the arrival of the September Labor Day weekend in New South Wales simply means Mount Panorama, Bathurst, and a new chapter in the history of our greatest race. The tradition continues today, Sunday, September 30, as drivers from England, the United States and Europe prepare to take on the Aussies and Kiwis in what could be the race of the decade. The 1000k Enduro is no longer just a two-way battle between Ford and Holden. Nissan is back and ready to win with their GT-R Orient Express. Yes, the mountain magic returns, and you've got the best seat in the house. 7 Sport welcomes you to Mount Panorama and the Tooheys 1000.
Good morning and welcome to one of the big days of sport on 7 Sport, the great race in Australian motor racing, the Tooheys 1000 from Bathurst, and everything is set up for a fabulous day of motor racing. The weather at the moment is fine. We're expecting about 16 degrees. It has been a beautiful week here at Bathurst. Maybe some showers later today, sunny periods, partly cloudy, but it really is a splendid morning and a cool to mild, actually perfect conditions for driving. And we just hope that we don't get too many showers throughout the day. It really is set up to be one of the great races in the history of Bathurst. We've got 3 of the greatest names, Moffat, Brock and Johnson, their teams in the first 3 on the grid, but a little more about that later on. One of the interesting things today will be the Nissan GT-R, just how Jim Richards will go with Mark Scaife. Mike Raymond, I know you've got some thoughts on that. Good morning. It's going to be one of the fascinating questions for the afternoon, isn't it?
Yes, good morning, Bruce. I think Nissan were a little unlucky. The odds were against them bringing a brand new motor car to Bathurst and hoping to put it on pole. A lot of people thought they would. In fact, everyone was freely tipping the Nissan would be the car. They're going to have to start today off 11. They have some minor problems, and I think their tactics really will be to try and get to the front of the race, lead the race, and at least create some publicity. If the car hangs together, that's the big bonus.
And one of the big highlights of Bathurst and the Bathurst week over the last decade has been the Saturday shootout to find out just who is the fastest and which is the fastest car on the mountain.
The Saturday pole shuffle brought together 8 Ford Sierras and 2 Holdens. Missing the cut was the Nissan GT-R, 11th fastest in Friday's practice, despite a couple of problems early in the week. Also in the lineup was 9-time Bathurst winner Peter Brock. His mobile Sierra back on track again after Andy Rouse had whacked the wall early on Thursday. And so they assembled for the Saturday shootout. Longhurst and Jones fastest from Friday in the B&H Sierras. Next was Johnson, then Seaton, Brock, Perkins, Needsvits, Hansford, Brancatelli and Grice. Gricey went first in the Holden team machine. It was a solid lap, though he was disappointed.
Just wasn't quite right as I came out of the cutting and went for the right-hander as well. But it's done now, just not good enough.
Gianfranco Brancatelli was next to light up the circuit. He was considered the sleeper in the pack, but at 2 minutes 22.05 was well outside what he'd planned. Greg Hansford followed in the first of the ANZ Team Sierras. The number 9 car had been prepared in full race trim, so his 2 minutes 17.97 was an outstanding effort.
Well, you couldn't drive like that for 161 laps. You've got to sort of take it easy, and I think the lap times we'll be doing about probably 2:20 in the race, I would say.
If there was a driver capable of turning up the boost on the front runners, it just had to be German Klaus Needsvits. He lined up in the second ANZ machine, and he duly obliged.
Late braking.
Geez, well inside Grice. Grice is at about 2 minutes here at 2:16. So we are looking at, remember, 2:13.84 is the track record set by Longhurst and also Jones. So this could be something very special from Needsvits. Makes the final turn into pit straight. And will he be under 2:13.84? It seems a formality he'll be under Grice at 2:16. And he is, we reckon, just missing it at 2:13.94.
Larry Perkins gave the Holden fans a strong lap in his booming V8, though it was slower than Friday. Meanwhile, Peter Brock came out ready for a blinder, and he was a one-man show across the top of the mountain.
Coming down to Skyline. Gliding, wheel hiking through there. It's been a good lap so far.
It's been a very good lap at 1:11.62, so he's not far outside Needsbits, and oh, look at that. He's absolutely flying, and he's well inside both Perkins and Grice, remembering that Grice finished with 2:16. So Mike, he's on about 2:14 and a half sort of at the moment,
and saving on the Bridgestones as well.
Absolutely.
Brocky cranked out at 2 minutes 14.72, an identical lap to his Friday best, and a share of the action from the second row.
Actually, I missed a couple of gears. I went into fourth instead of second up there before, and I thought maybe it cost me a little bit, but it was a pretty good lap.
Glenn Seaton has been a model of consistency this week, and he responded well in the Peter Jackson Sierra. 2 minutes 15.77 seconds at the outside of row 2. Queensland's Dickie Johnson went into Tooheys' top 10 as the third fastest qualifier from the previous day. He cut a near-perfect lap in the Shell Sierra, 2 minutes 14.17 seconds, though he had expected better.
Oh, I felt all right, but wish I'd had the grunt it had yesterday, I'll tell you.
Then it was time for the B&H team to strut their stuff. Alan Jones bounded up the mountain only to encounter a gearbox problem on the run to Tooheys' turn. That little hiccup would take him from the front line to row 5 today. Teammate Tony Longhurst was primed for Sizzler. After being the fastest man all week, all he needed was one fast and smooth lap. But it didn't come. 2:16.02 was a disappointment. Gave the treasured pole spot today to the man with the touch of Klaus.
Klaus, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
I've presented this trophy 3 times and twice to you, so you obviously like the mountain.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good race tomorrow.
So here's how the top 10 lines up today. Klaus Needsvits on pole in the ANZ Sierra. Second is Dick Johnson in the 17 Shell Sierra. From 3, it's Peter Brock, 0-5. From 4, Glenn Seaton in the Peter Jackson Sierra. From 5, Tony Longhurst in the B&H Ford. From 6, Alan Grice in the first of the Holdens. Keeping him company from position 7, it's Larry Perkins. From 8, Greg Hansford in the second ANZ car. From 9, it's John Franco Brancatelli in the Sierra. And rounding out the 10, Alan Jones.
You would have noticed at 11 the Nissan GT-R. It's a car that's been described as a mobile computer, the next generation vehicle. It's a remarkable car, and Neil Crompton brings us up to date with it.
Gentleman Jim is just spread eagling the field in the Nissan GT-R, and there he goes.
In this era of technical one-upmanship between nations, it seems Nissan has out-perfected Ford's near-perfect Group A car. Japan's response to the Sierra, the Commodore and the BMW M3 is this gem. A 4-wheel drive, 4-wheel steer, twin-turbo, 6-cylinder, 24-valve rocket. Technology is the message, and Nissan has used the Group A rules to the max to create the ultimate touring car.
Oh, the Sierra's got 550 horsepower, say, putting us through a 10-inch tyre on the rear. We've got 630 horsepower, a lot heavier, but we're putting us through 4 wheels.
You heard right, he said 630 brake horsepower. Using the most sophisticated milking methods, Nissan Motorsport is dragging massive horsepower from this 6-cylinder turbo. But normally, having this much grunt smouldering away under the bonnet would be of little use, as it would be wasted in wheel spin, ultimately killing the tyres on most Group A cars. That's why 4-wheel drive technology was embraced. Distributing that much power through 4 rather than 2 wheels allows the use of radical horsepower. However, merely driving all 4 wheels at the same speed is undesirable. Controlling the prescribed amount of 4-wheel drive is the critical factor. This onboard computer receives constant messages from 3 sources regarding the behaviour of the car. A G-force sensor measures longitudinal and lateral forces, therefore monitoring braking, acceleration and cornering loads. A tooth drive on the rear diff output shaft monitors rear wheel spin. And each wheel has a speed sensor, and the information is logged by the brain. The brain deciphers the data and, according to the situation, commands a solenoid control in a device called an ETS pump. For example, if the rear wheels break traction, the ETS pump varies the amount of oil pressure to the transfer case, or put simply, gives the car more front-wheel drive. The transfer case clutch pack works on a similar principle to an automatic gearbox in your standard road car.
So basically how the system works is that when the rear wheels lose traction, directs drive to the front, we then have a four-wheel drive car, and we can program that by our silicon chip. So the car has a situation where on fast corners where there are high Gs, the car works as basically a two-wheel drive car. When it's on a slow corner with low Gs, the car is very much a four-wheel drive car. So out of slow corners it's great, and around fast corners it's almost the same as a Commodore or a Sierra.
To complicate the issue, the brain can be programmed with silicon chips called EEPROMs to react in different ways. Using data logging equipment, all this information can be recorded and used to achieve a better setup prior to the race. When the setup is right, the equipment is removed. This is just some of the information used. A test at Perth's Wanneroo Raceway reveals the variations in four-wheel drive pressure from the ETS pump. The forces on the car are plotted using half-G increments, and the actual speed of the individual wheels is recorded. Using the timescale along the bottom of the graph, this information can be cross-referenced and the car's track position can be pinpointed. Then if the Gibson team adjusts the car's suspension or alters the four-wheel drive settings, the information can be re-examined to decide if it worked or not. Once they've programmed the GT-R to behave, the drivers have three other four-wheel drive control options. These are mode switches. If it rains, Richards or Scaife hits the appropriate switch and instantly they've got perfect four-wheel drive, overriding the brain's normal pressure variations. This is not your average touring car.
People ask me, how do you get used to driving it, being four-wheel drive against two-wheel drive? Well, really, the getting used to it takes care of itself in a way. The object of the exercise is to get around the track as fast as you can, and you make small adjustments at each corner depending on how the car drives out of it. But my first impression when I drove it really properly, I suppose you'd say, at Oran Park, was the fact that between slow corners, between two corners, it is exceptionally fast, incredibly so that you've hardly got time to look at the rev counter. You've just put your foot on the accelerator and accelerate so fast, you just change gear and go to the next gear. It's incredibly fast. That's the first impression that I had of it.
There is one flaw. The car is heavy and that has an effect on brakes and tyres. This weekend is the big test. Will the technology be a help or a handicap when it comes to attempting a win in Australia's toughest race?
Well, Neil Crompton suggesting some technology problems. They have had them this week with the brake balance on Wednesday and the fuel actuator on Thursday. Starting from 11th on the grid, one man who's had no problems this week is Alan Grice. He moved up 4 positions yesterday in the top 10.
Never far from the action, Alan Grice is a veteran of the touring car scene in Australia. After many attempts, he finally made it to the #1 position on the rostrum here in 1986 with Graham Bailey, and that helped launch him into an international assault on the European Championship with Nissan in '88. He's now back in Oz and today joins his old Nissan partner in Win Percy. If reliability is on their side, the Grice-Percy combo might well surprise some of the Turbo Brigade.
Well, there is a tremendous atmosphere down here at the moment, and for the presentation for the fastest man on the mountain, the Tooheys top 10 yesterday, it's my pleasure to introduce the Chief Executive of the 7 Network, Mr. Bob Campbell. Bob.
Thank you, Bruce. Klaus, congratulations. 4th time here, pole position in the Tooheys top 10 in 2:13.94. Well done, and we wish you well in the race today. A cheque for $15,000.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bob. Congratulations, Klaus. How are you feeling this morning? A little nervous?
Yes, a little bit nervous because I have lots of very good drivers behind me, and I hope I can get the first corner, and then the rest we will see.
Well, the tension continues to build here. Some drama involving Alan Jones' car. Car has not taken its spot on the grid at the moment. Some problem with a radiator hose. They may have missed starting the race on the grid. As you can see, the Jones car and also the Grant car sitting behind. They had some problems. Richard?
They did indeed, a water hose apparently, but that will mean that those cars will have to start from the back of the grid.
We're almost ready for the command from the Grand Marshal of the Tooheys 1000, Mr. John Cooper. And John's about to join us because he's got one thing I think that all the drivers have been waiting for him to say. So I introduce to you the Grand Marshal of Tooheys 1000, our very special guest, John Cooper. John.
Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure for me to be part of Australia's greatest single motor race. And now to the thousands here at Bathurst and the millions more around Australia on the 7 network. It's my honor to give the most famous command in sports. Gentlemen, start your engines.
And so the engine starts as the cars just wait prior to the start of the 1990 Tooheys 1000.
The Australian Television Network welcomes viewers coast to coast and throughout New Zealand, the Americas, Britain, Europe and Asia to Mount Panorama Bathurst and the 1990 Tooheys 1000.
Yes, Australia's great race is back on track at Mount Panorama Bathurst. The field has already left on the warm-up lap prior to the start of the 90 Classic. And one guy who isn't lined up from position number 10 is Alan Jones, with him in pit lane, John Harvey. John, what's the situation?
You've had a great week. The field is on the warm-up lap and you're in pit lane. What happened?
We discovered a leak in the water hose at the 11th hour and the mechanics were changing it. And Tim Schenken, in his wisdom, has decided not to let me out because apparently I was 10 seconds late leaving the pit lane, so I have to start from here.
Alan, will this make you more determined?
Well, it'll make it a lot sweeter when I'm up in that rostrum, I can tell you.
So I think we're going to have to try and keep an eye on the progress of Alan Jones in the number 20 car during this race. There's our Dulux Autocolour race cam riding with Win Percy. The number 16 Telecom Mobiles V8 Holden. Warming up the tyres as they head down to Caltex Chase. Magnificent shot, aerial shot of the end of Conrod Straight, the new section that was added to the circuit a few years ago. Caltex Chase to slow the cars down. Well, it did for a while, but this year, of course, we've seen Tony Longhurst running around here even faster than the track. 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, when it was shorter. And, of course, irrepressible Dick Johnson with our face cam. Dick lining up off the second row. As I said earlier, Bruce, you can really start to feel the tension building here between the spectators, and I think the strain showing a little on the drivers' faces as well.
Well, Mike, it's got to be the biggest moment in their life for each year anyway. I mean, this is the one they all work for, and there's no second prize. First or last, really, for a lot of these drivers.
That's right. So much of the publicity and advertising of the manufacturers and the sponsors they carry. No one really likes to advertise second at Bathurst. They only go for the win.
What do we look for here, Richard? What scenario into the first turn? Will Johnson take Needsvits?
Both of those guys, I think Johnson will take Needsvits, but both of those guys will be worried about the standing start. Needsvits is used to rolling starts, where the pace car pulls off and then they go. And that's what he'll be mainly worried about. I think look out for Johnson. Also look out for the Nissan with four-wheel drive. Of course, that will fly off the line.
Well, he's back on 11th, Richards. Is there any chance that he could get himself into the top 3 or 4 in the first 3 or 4 laps?
Just watch out. I think so.
I think if Jim gets a free run to the first turn, watch him heading up the mountain for the first time. And keep in mind, up till Friday, Richards had, good on you, Tony, Richards had the fastest car down Conrod Straight. Okay, there you can see the huge crowd off to the right here as we take the Dulux race cam at Win Percy. Is Dick Johnson, the man whose car won this race last year. Stand by Australia, stand by TV3 in New Zealand and the world. Australia's great race ready to explode from Mount Panorama Bathurst, Sunday, September 30. And cribbing the line almost was one of the pole cars getting away. Peter Brock, a magnificent start up on the outside. Just watch Brocky go, and Seaton will move into third spot. Longhurst a brilliant start. Johnson a very, very poor start. And Klaus Needsvits is at least through the first turn. Look at the traffic, and they head up Mountain Straight for the first time. Going beneath the Corolla sign, the bridge halfway along Mountain Straight. And here they come. The jockeying for positions now, up to the right-hander at Repco. As they exit that turn and now make their way up Mountain Straight towards BP Cutting. Percy going through, Cropton going through, Nisvits in front, Brock second, Seaton, then followed by Longhurst, then the second of the ANZ cars. George Fury, a great start, and Columbine just ahead of the two V8 Commodores. The exit from BP now to the top, and Jim Richards already up there trying to pass some cars in the Nissan GT-R. Across now to the top of the mountain, heading down towards Skyline. No incidents. Look at the lead so far as Nisvits blitzes them through there. Brock in second. Seaton is your next driver, followed by Longhurst. Then, of course, Greg Hansford, and moving up smartly also the second of the Dick Johnson car. So we've had a great start.
We have. This was made in heaven for Klaus Nisvits, but poor Dick Johnson. I don't think he gave it enough revs at the start. The car bogged down and he almost got hit from behind.
Exactly, and Peter Brock was away very, very smartly. Come down to Forest Elbow for the first time. The wide open spaces of Conrod Straight. The exit from that turn, the Nissan still sitting in there behind. Brancatelli runs back behind the second Johnson car. So an incident-free first lap, and as you said, Klaus Nisvits at this stage of the race heading down to the right-hander at Caltex Chase, a comfortable lead over Peter Brock. Great shot there of the speed, and the approach shot, also the right-hander. Just watch them jockeying for positions as they go into the right-hander at Caltex.
Somebody up there is looking after Klaus Nisvits at the moment. This is an enormous lead that he's built up already on the first lap, and really showing that the top 10 runoff that he just cleaned up really was no fluke.
Bruce asked earlier this morning whether or not it was a good form guide yesterday, and I said maybe. That is a great form guide, because Nisvits has started. The fans think this is fabulous. They're watching 7 Sport, following the coverage, and they're here trackside as well.
And look at the Nissan. It's made up 2 places now since we last saw a shot of it. The Nissan is now up past Gianfranco Brancatelli and chasing after the second of the ANZ cars with Greg Hansford at the wheel.
Up to Corolla.
Not only chasing, it's past it already.
Yes. So Jim Richards on the move.
Up to 6th place now.
And right behind him, we have one of the Holdens parked off to the side, have stalled.
Looks like Gary Rogers to me.
And Alan Jones, of course, up to position 40 at the end of the first lap after starting from pit lane, which actually put him 55th on the starting grid. And a great panoramic shot of the top of Mount Panorama as they head down to Forest Elbow. Klaus Nisvits, repeating, is your race leader over Peter Brock. Glenn Seaton running 3rd on the road at the moment. And there's Richards, the man we're following, the man on the move at the moment, zeroing in behind Dick Johnson as they head down Conrod Straight. Look at the speed of this car.
Freddie Gibson's done a tremendous job with this car, and they've brought the boss of Nismo in Japan over, Mr. Hioki, to come and have a look at it. He's amazed by it. He's up another spot already.
Well, who would have thought after seeing Longhurst on Wednesday and Thursday that he'd be taken by 2 cars down Conrod?
They're in race trim today too, aren't they?
Absolutely. Both Richards and Johnson taking him there, and this is just an absolutely glorious start for the Nissan. They couldn't have asked for any more than this. They've got themselves into the picture.
We take our Nissan race cam, so you're riding with Jim Richards. Here he comes, making the move on Dick Johnson. To the outside, the left-hander sits up here, but he won't pass. He'll try and get him on the inside as they go through this turn, and now swing down the inside of the car. Johnson out on the ripple strip. It's Richards now grabbing another gear. Let's have a look at the horsepower. Has it got any horsepower? 600 brake, they claim, and Johnson gets the blow-by from Jimmy Richards. Richards now storming towards the leaders. Nisvits disappearing. Brock runs in second. Glenn Seaton in the Peter Jackson car. And back behind him, of course, as they go over our track cam position on the exit to Mountain Straight. The big mover in the race at the front, and that's Jimmy Richards. He has disposed of Dick Johnson. They come down to the S's, and now he is working away on Glenn Seaton. Forest Elbow now, left-hander. Right out against the wall. Let's have a look at the power. As it carries our Nissan race cam. How much power is this GT-R 4-wheel steer? They claim about 620. Sitting in the draft now, he'll probably pull out if he can snatch him here on the inside on the approach to Caltex Chase. He's trying. No, Seaton is able to get through the turn ahead of him, so Seaton and Richards in for a great scrap here.
And Johnson closing up again, Mike, so Seaton can fill both Richards and Johnson on his tail, but he's been quick all week, Seaton, 2:14 and a bit. He's lacked nothing in power.
Now we'll have a look at the brakes of the Nissan. Not much of a problem really here. It's only early days.
And Jones has gone into the pits, so Alan Jones, who started at the back of the grid, is in the pits with the car 20, the second car in the B&H team.
That's a fairly quick stop.
Gee, it hasn't been their weekend so far, has it? He was 38th when he went to the pits. He got himself into a better position than that, 35th, so he obviously had a bit of a problem.
It's a price to pay for leaving the pit lane at the back of the field. Got tangled up with one of the slower cars and flattened up all the tyres.
Well, looking here, the Nissan has just gone by Peter Brock in the Mobile 1 Sierra 05. Pete continues that problem of locking a brake. We've noticed that in the early laps of this race. But settling into almost conservative mode at the moment. The exit to BP cutting. Klaus Niedzwitz disappearing towards the top of Tooheys turn as Jim Richards goes after the race leader. Uh-oh, problems there for Ray Lintott. And this car was to have been co-driven. Well, you still might get a shot at it by Gary Rush, but Ray Lintott in the Valvoline Sierra just clipping the edge of the sand trap at the top of the mountain. Watch the Nissan now. This is the moment for Jimmy Richards. He's going to make it. No. Or is he? Niedzwitz is doing some defensive driving.
Klaus has said if you're going to pass me, you're going to have to go the long way around.
So we do really have a good race going here with Niedzwitz, who told us yesterday and again this morning his plan was just to run in a conservative mode. They want to go and lead the race, they can. He's going to sit in behind them.
Well, Niedzwitz does have the other advantage of the fact that there's a second Moffat ANZ car, and he can force the pace of the race and try and break the Nissan, which is, I would guess, what he's trying to do at the moment, because he can always drop back to the second car a little later if he has to.
I don't think that's on his mind at the moment.
Both those cars, Mike, at 283 at Conrod. So not bad defensive driving at 283, is it? No.
Here we go now. Pulls to the inside and Klaus moves over. They are side by side and Jim actually gives him the goodbye. And as they climb to the top of the mountain, we'll just establish the brake. Let's have a look at this, an incident on top of the mountain. Prima Holiday replay. This was the Ray Lintott Valvoline Sierra. Whew. That's fairly close. That was defensive driving too. That was right in front of Johnny Smith, I believe. Ray Lintott was positioned 23rd. He's rejoined, got all the sand off the car, and he's now 39th.
Niedzwitz is not letting Jim Richards get away and tries to get around the outside there as they come over Nissan Skyline. That's not the place to do it, is it, Mike?
Definitely not. I think Alan Moffat will be having heart palpitations at this moment. Oh, in the pits, Peter Brock, 05. Teamer already down there. Not surely the same.
This can't be happening 2 years running. They had a problem last year with that right rear hub locking. The nut was locked on, and it looks to have happened again. There's problems there for the Brock team. They've got the nut off now, but this is a long pit stop. He was in 3rd position, and this will drop him way down the order.
Some great pictures there. Peter Brock takes it all philosophically, and he is back in the race again. We believe a puncher for Peter Brock. Those things do happen in a race like this.
He's rejoined Mike in 22nd position, so he's lost 19 places there, 3rd to 22nd. Well, they must be delighted in the pits at the moment, the Nissan crew. Let's join Steve Titmus with Fred Gibson.
Thanks so much, Bruce. Fred, a fabulous start for you.
Oh, well, it's only the start of a 1,000k race. There's a long way to go yet. Like, that's what we wanted to do when I try and break the Sierras up and get to the front so we can run our own pace. I still say we can run 17, 18s. I don't think many Sierras will be able to do that all day. Whether we can or not, we don't know yet. But like Jimmy's gone to the game plan so far, it's a matter of settling in now and seeing if we can keep the car going for the whole race.
It might be timely now to have a look at an action replay of the start of the great race. The jumble for the first turn. Okay, we'll take it off race cam and Win Percy. Look at Brock. Johnson just stopped right in front. Percy backed it out, I think, and was also gathered in there by about 6 or 7 cars, including his teammate, Neil Crompton. Kevin Waldock going around the outside of the playscape machine. And the second of the Brock cars, Andrew Madecki now in the pits. John Harvey, I think, covering our pit stop for us. John, any idea of what the problem is? The centre lock again?
Yes, Mike, it's the left rear. In Peter Brock's case, it was the air pressure on the wheel gun, but in this particular case, yeah, there, they got it off now. It's away.
Any idea of why the early stop, John?
Yeah, in Peter's case was a blistered tyre.
Yeah.
And he's away. And in this case, it looks like exactly the same, which is quite a surprise because they weren't expecting any tyre problems at all.
Threatening black clouds overhead. And we've had perfect conditions all week at Bathurst. No likelihood of rain, but we could have some today. And that may be very, very good for the Nissan with Jim Richards. And it also could be a good thing, Richard Hay, for the Peter Brock team with their tyre problems.
It could well. If they've got blistering tyre problems with their slick tyres, they have to put on a grooved wet tyre if the rain comes down. And that could well solve the problem for them. But what is going to be a far bigger worry to them is the fact that the Nissan has got four-wheel drive and will just fly.
Looking at Wyn Percy and the Holden dealer team, they're in 8th position at the moment as we welcome Mark Osler to the microphone.
Yes, Wyn's running. I was talking to Wally Story, the team manager, yesterday. He said they could consistently run about 18s or 19s in this car. I've got to put the clock on him next lap and see if they're running to their race plan. Wyn and Alan Grice very confident with this car. They say it can run it hard all day. And it's going to be interesting to see after 1,000 tough kilometres around here whether this thing's up in the top 5.
Wyn has fairly rocketed up through the field as well, because as we saw on Dulux Auto Colour race cam, which we see again there at the start, he really did get swamped by the pack. So to make his way up to 8th place at the moment, he's flying.
He's doing very well. You can see him working hard at the wheel there. Wyn had an unfortunate injury at Sandown when he tore a muscle in his left shoulder. He's been undergoing a lot of physiotherapy and treatment by the doctors here to try and get the arm back to full strength. And he commented yesterday that he felt he'd be able to do the job, even if it wasn't 100%.
Jeff Allen working away there in the 18 car, pulls out of the draft, out of the slipstream, and alongside of Greg Hansford. And that's it. Looks like he's made the place there. So Jeff Allen moves up now and takes away 6th place from Greg Hansford.
And it does look as if the Johnson crew is getting ready for a pit stop for Dick Johnson's car or Jeff Allen's. But it'll probably be Johnson's car. He's in 3rd position at the moment. And Allen's moved himself into 6th position.
I was talking to Neil Lowe yesterday. He was hoping to get about 38 laps out of the lead car, perhaps 41 laps with the second car. They're very accurate on their fuel consumption figures, the Shell team, and they're going to try and get the maximum out of each tank of fuel.
Seems a little bit optimistic, that, as we take a look there at Jeff Allen again, looking for a way past Glenn Seaton on the straight. And surprising just how quick that car is in a straight line. Especially when you consider that it's the second string car, and almost traditionally it seems that the second string car has been slightly slower in the Johnson team. Here comes Allen up on the inside of Seaton, moves up another slot as they go around Murray's.
And it's lap 17 as they cross the line. Allen, and Seaton's not going to give that place away. He's fighting back as they go to swing up the mountain, but Hansford has it.
And the Johnson team have got 2 in the top 5, and the Moffat team have got 2 in the top 6.
Dulux Auto Colour race cam there on the roof of Glenn Seaton's car.
This is a really sensational view of Mount Panorama. You really get an idea of the speed here. These guys are running on a very, very narrow racing line around this place, and it is very exacting.
And Johnson now coming into the pits.
I think there will be a driver change here. It looked like Johnson loosening his belts as he came under the bridge.
Okay, so Bauer will be getting ready to come into the car. Yes, you can see Johnson throwing the belt away as he comes in on lap 17. And let's join John Brady in the pits.
Thanks very much. And yes, that's exactly the situation. They've decided that they've got to come in for a puncture, so if they're going to do that, they may as well go the whole hog, do the whole sets of tyres, obviously, and also the driver change, get it out of the way now. Of course, the weather's threatening, so they may as well get the change done as they can. And they're working frantically here to get John Bauer into the seat, strapping him in, Dick Johnson giving some help. Almost ready to go here. It'll be a fairly quick stop for them. And that is quite quick. That's just over about 30 seconds or so, and that's very, very quick indeed.
Thanks to John Brady.
Yes,
we take a look there at John Bauer, just tightening the seat belts as he makes his way out of the pit lane.
Okay, Dick Johnson's into the pits. He's changed drivers with John Bauer. Here's John Brady with Dick now.
Well, Dick, you didn't expect to be back in here this quickly. What's the reason? No, it appears as though we might have picked up a bit of a bait in one of the front tyres, so it felt a bit funny. So rather than risk doing
another epic trip down the main straight at 160 mile an hour. I thought I'd call in.
Bondi in position number 8 at the moment, challenging Seaton for 7th place. And running in behind them, looks like Larry Perkins.
Perkins, another of the movers in the Commodores. And the Commodores, I believe, really will come good towards the end of the race.
Look at this fantastic view that we're bringing you, our race cam team with this special camera. Silhouette cam, we like to call it, as we hang it out the side of the Colin Bond Caltech Sierra. He's chasing Glenn Seaton at the moment, putting a lot of pressure on Glenn Seaton as they go across the top of the mountain. You'll see a great view here as they come up to Skyline on the concrete wall. How close would you like it? Drifting out here. Watch the movement of the front wheels, now tucking into the left-hander. Seaton gives the Sierra a dab of the brakes. That scrap continues as we go to the pits, and our men are on the scene.
Okay, this is just a regular tyre stop, although they're having tyre problems they're not expecting. That stop was 24 seconds, which is pretty quick, but they didn't really want to have that stop.
Is the race cam view, our roof cam view of Glenn Seaton's car go beneath the Tooheys Bridge. And here he comes, and John Brady to call the action for you, John.
Yes, thanks very much, Mike. Seaton's been having trouble with his tyres. At first they thought it was a tyre, then they thought it may have been the cooling on the back brake, so they switched it off for a while. He was getting a shudder. Now they've decided it's the compound. The reason he had to wait was they've been streaking up another compound for him, getting it out and getting it ready, which they're giving a go now. And as you say, tyres becoming a real factor in this race. And Seaton just sitting there patiently waiting to see if this compound's going to be any better for him. You see him shaking his head. Something's gone wrong. Got problems there. They're filling up the water tank, in fact, for the brakes, the cooling of the brakes, I think. And Seaton ready to go now. He's been in a little while, but he's off now in a case of just how these tyres are going to go.
And here comes the Moffat machine into the pits. Steve Titmus to call it as Klaus Niedzwitz still in the car.
Yes, he is. Mike, it looks as if at one stage he was going to hop out of the car, but now looks as if he won't at this stage because he told Frank he'd be able to go away. And at this stage there's a lot going on. It looks as if they're changing all tyres as usual, and also filling up the oil as well in the motor. And they've actually shut the motor down as well. At this stage where there has been a problem with the car, they've fired it up again at Klaus Niedzwitz, back out of the pits once again. It was a pretty lengthy stop, around about 45-50 seconds.
Thank you, Steve. It certainly was. Andrew Medecky's car, the second Brock machine in the pits. Fresh rubber going on it. Andrew Medecky stays in the car. Geez, had wretched luck at this race.
Hasn't he? And just more confirmation by the looks of things that the Bridgestone tyres just don't seem to be working on the Brockmobiles.
This must be a major disappointment for Bridgestone. They did the tyre test day up here to get the compounds right. And all sorts of things going wrong here. We've had Brock's car and Medecky's car in very early on.
I just hope they've all brought enough tyres. The rate of the pit stops are going to consume some in 161 laps.
It could become quite a factor, Mike, because Bridgestone have only been able to supply the Brock team this year.
So Jimmy Richards continues as we take our Caltex race score. Let's take a look at how they run on the racetrack. No doubt about the leader. It's Jim Richards. Mark Scaife to take over shortly in the Nissan GT-R. Second is car number 25, the Longhurst and McLaughlin Sierra. Running in third, Allam and Radicic in the second of the Johnson cars. Fourth is Percy and Grice in the first of the Holdens. Then back behind them in fifth spot, Hansford and Pierre Dieudonné running in the number 9 car. Sixth is Colin Bond and Graham Crosby. Seventh, the number 11 car of Perkins and Thomas Mazzera. From 8, 17, Johnson and Bauer back to 8th on the road. 9th, Niedzwitz and Biala after that pit stop. And rounding out the 10, there's the gentleman farmer, George Fury, Andrew Price. At the moment, though, Jim has spread eagle the field. He's opened the gap up to 32.5 seconds. And no matter which way you look at it, that is a huge lead. Jimmy Richards, you're not hogging this race, are you?
Well, Mike, we've got to do a few brake stops, so we've got to make a little bit of a buffer so that when we come in, we can keep the time on the track open.
You must have a lot of Sierra owners very, very worried the way you've attacked this race, taken the lead and done it so easily. Does the car feel good, Jim?
This little car feels unbelievable.
Everyone thought that just starting one car in the race was probably would work against you. At the moment, it's working for you.
It was the only decision to make, and Fred always makes the right decisions. Whatever he says is right.
So you're going to do stint about, Jim? Will Mark take over when you do your pit stop, or you stay in for 2?
No, Mark will take over. He's lapping as good as I am, so he can have a drive on of a rest.
All right, son, you're looking good out there in front, and you're entertaining a lot of viewers, not only across Australia, but also back in your native New Zealand.
Great. Hi, New Zealand. How are you?
Okay, Jimmy, let you get your mind back on. Thanks for the chat.
Thanks, Mike.
As Win Percy, yep, steps out of the Telecom Mobiles V8 Commodore, puts Alan Grice behind the wheel.
Was running in 4th place. And this is starting to take a while.
That looked like a pretty good stop, Johnny Brady.
They did. It's Win Percy's out of the car now, trying to get his helmet off. Win, the Commodore's certainly going pretty well at the moment.
Yeah, I don't know why we've got a fuel pickup problem, so we're a little bit concerned. It's a bit early for that, but we'll see.
Klaus Niedzwitz in car number 10 has moved from 10th back to 5th on the road. Race still being led, of course, by Jimmy Richards in the Nissan GT-R. We're following Tony Longhurst running 2nd on the road, 40.24 seconds behind. And everything at least running smoothly for Tony in the 25 car. John Brady very busy in the pits as the Alan Radicic number 18 car, the second of the Dick Johnson cars, comes in for the pit stop.
Yes, Mike, and they look like they're going to do it very quickly indeed. They've almost got the driver change complete. Just a little more petrol to go into the tank, and this will be quite a quick stop. And away they go. That is moving from the pits now. Neil Lowe and the boys in the pits here.
Alan Grice, of course, up to position number 9 as we take Dunlop race cam. Now we're riding actually in the front of the Alan Grice Win Percy Holden Commodore. Now you can't get much closer to the track here at Mount Panorama, and it really doesn't require any commentary. The sounds and the sight of a very quick lap here in traffic. In the meantime, the Nissan GT-R is in the pits, and to cover it, Steve Titmuss.
Thanks very much, Mark. Well, they're going to do the works on the car on this stop. They're planning for a driver change. Jim will hop out, Mark's hopping in. They'll change all 4 tyres, throw in fuel, and also the plan was to change the front brake pads as well. So it's going to be interesting just how long this pit stop does go for. It's gone for 23 seconds so far. Looks like the fuel's gone in.
Just look how warm they are, Steve.
Oh, geez, not wrong, Mike. Certainly it's lucky the guys in the pits are wearing the gloves, because, my word, they're extremely hot indeed.
Well, I think the Nissan team expected a long pit stop because they do have to do a couple of pad changes. John Brady picks up the action as we have yet another pit stop for the Peter Brock Mobil 1 team. Nody Rouse.
No prizes for guessing it, Mike. More tyre problems for Brock. They've only been 12 laps this set of tyres. They're doing the driver change as well now. Andy Rouse going in. But this is becoming a real grade A headache for Peter Brock. If he's got to keep doing tyres every 12 laps, he can forget about it. Change is complete now. The stop isn't holding them up long. That's the good news. And Andy Rouse just jumping as he goes away, having trouble now. He gets it up and running. And the Brock team with a lot of trouble today.
Prima holiday replay for you here. It's the Lusties. They've been bunkered in the rough by the look of it. That's real barbecue material there. Gee, they're an unlucky team. They try to fire it and get the car out.
And this is car 18, the second of the Shell cars. It got up to 3rd position before the pit change about 5 minutes ago. The Alan Radicic combination, and they're in the top 10 at the moment. They're in 5th position. So Dick Johnson has 2 cars in the top 5. Johnson currently 2nd, and this car number 18 in 5th position. So great start for Shell after a pretty ordinary start at the beginning of the day when Dick Johnson got left somewhat at the beginning when Klaus Niedzwitz was away. So the number 18 car has performed very well today. It made it all the way from 13th to 3rd at one stage.
Okay, let's go to that incident, catch up what happened. Finnegan and Leeds car. Prima Holidays replay here at Bathurst. They were running 26th on the road. Uh-oh, just out of the curve there, and the spin out of harm's way and off the racing line. Now from another angle. The cars go through the dipper, and that's where it broke loose on him.
food for thought. So, oh, dearie me, the 27 car we're just showing you has now run into an even greater spot of bother here on the racetrack. Terry Finnegan, Jeff Leeds, Holden Commodore, the yellow flags and the pace car have come out onto the racing circuit. Keeping in mind, 2 pace cars are used here at Mount Panorama because of the size of the circuit. One pace car joins the field at the top of the mountain, and one, of course, comes out of the pit lane. So if you're going for a pit stop, you really have to have everything working for you, which group of cars you come in behind. Well, one guy's doing pretty well out in the racetrack at the moment. I don't know whether he appreciates the breather or not. Here's Johnny Bowd. Good morning, John.
How you going, Michael?
Fit as a fiddle. How's it? Heavy work out there?
Well, we've got a bit of an oversteery problem. Like it seems to, the rear tyre seem to have overheated. So all I'm doing is trying to persevere as best I can so that when we make the next stop, we can overcome it.
Does it give the driver now a chance for a bit of a breather, John?
Well, what I'm hoping is that it gives the whole car a bit of a chance for a breather.
Well, you must be fairly happy, and so must Dick, with a couple of cars there in the top 10.
Where's the other car running?
We're just looking down through the field for the 18 car, and it is running in 4th position.
Yeah, they're doing a great job, eh?
2 and 4, that's not too bad, son.
No, it's pretty good.
Thanks very much for the chat.
Okay, ciao.
Johnny Bow, of course, talking, and in the pits while we watch the pit stop of Colin Bond, it's John Brady.
Yeah, big drama for Colin Bond here. Memories, in fact, of Klaus Niedzwitz a couple of years ago when he had this race won until the pace car came out and blew a head gasket, and it looks very much like the Colin Bond car may have done the same thing. As you can see, a lot of heating problem. They're trying to close it up now and see how it goes. But I asked Colin a second ago what he thought, and he just gave me a nod and said he could be another head. So they're going to try and persevere with it. But it'll be worth a good look at the car over the next couple of laps to see just how long it lasts. It's just conked now as they've tried to start it up again. She's away now, but it could be a dicey proposition.
The green light coming on, pace car just pulling to the pits, and our race leader, of course, is Klaus Niedzwitz in car number 10 over 17. The Dick Johnson, John Bow machine. The field, of course, broken up behind 2 pace cars. We were talking about that earlier, John. You said you favoured that, but sometimes it works against you.
Well, at this stage, I personally think that the organisers have pulled a bit of a clanger here, Mike. They let Klaus Niedzwitz go through, then pull the pace car out, effectively blocking the cars running 2nd, 3rd and 4th and so on, and letting Klaus getting actually half a lap on the field. He's caught up to the pace car that was actually at the top of the mountain and effectively gained a free half lap, and I think it's a bit ordinary myself.
Well, the word that we had back from race control was that it was desirable to have the pace car pull out in front of the race leader, but not essential. I'll let someone else argue that one later. It's pretty easy in the States and certainly easy in Europe. I think the pace car comes out and always tucks in front of the car that's leading the race.
I wouldn't mind the organiser handing me half a lap for nothing.
No one may be impressed with the organisation, but I think Alan Moffat would have a bit of a smile on his face at the moment.
Nissan is now coming back up through the field, and it won't be too long before it's up there hounding away at our race leader Klaus Niedzwitz. According to Nigel Greenway, one of the few people who can actually run a lap score book on the run. He has the Nissan back into 3rd position, and Mark Scaife doing a stellar job here at the controls of the GT-R.
It's not exactly tearing past Brock down the straight, it's getting there. Right now it is.
He's gone past Rouse. So the race lead still held by Klaus Niedzwitz over Dick Johnson. 3rd, then of course Mark Scaife. Mark sitting there quite comfortably, doing a good job in the GT-R. Then back to Alan Grice, 4th on the road. 5th is Larry Perkins. 6th is, of course, the Tony Longhurst 25 car. Then the Allen and Radicic car running in 7th.
I just noticed Mark having a bit of a confidence dab on the brakes with his left leg. Just make sure he's still got a pedal at the end of the straight. Does wonders for your confidence when you feel a nice hard pedal.
The 25 car is in the pits, and it looks like we have some problems. Tony Longhurst stepping from the car. This looks very ominous. Tony Longhurst, they have a major problem with the Benson and Hedges number 25 car.
Right, push it away quickly.
Frank Gardner giving the order, push the car away.
Tony, what's gone wrong? It looks like it's blown a head gasket. After following the pace car, the water temperature dropped right down to about 50 degrees. I'd say it's similar to what happened out of Moffat's car in 1988.
Word has come through from the RDC. Wait for this one, folks. Klaus Niedzwied has been pinged 1 minute for jumping the start. Got some other problems too, guys, for the number 10 car. Klaus Niedzwied reported with a flat tyre. Looking for him around the circuit. Looks like Klaus Niedzwied, yes, out of the car. And, of course, Frankie Biela to step in.
Oh, and we've got some...
Johnny Brady?
Yes, obviously, they weren't expecting this. It was supposed to come in for a scheduled pit stop. Alan Moffat pulling away at the moment at some of the flaring around that back guard, but that's a bit of a shock to the system for the team. It was supposed to be a scheduled driver change, tyre change and driver change, and that is all taking place, but obviously a bit of quick panel beating, and that back fender is still very, very loose. It's going to cause a bit of trouble throughout the day, and you can see Alan Moffat in there with the gaffer tape just trying to get it up. Moffat very worried at the moment about the car. Well, Alan takes things very, very intently in this race. A great competitor here and a man who's trying to put this team together and has done a great job with it. And struggling to get that tape on. The car takes off. Oh, and it's gone crunch on the stall as well. It's up again.
Klaus rejoins, or Frankie Biela, in 9th position on the road.
Isn't it amazing how it can all turn to mud in 5 seconds?
Yeah.
You know, here they're looking good there, I'd say about 3 laps ago. They had a half a lap lead on the majority of the field.
There's
now
the tyre.
They've gone backwards.
That's the tyre that's come off the back of the Sierra.
Alan, bad luck about the stop there. Obviously, the tyre's gone. What was the problem? You know, how bad's the damage at the back?
Klaus had a puncture on that occasion, a slow puncture that got to turn into a damn fast one. But in terms of our scheduling, it was just 1 lap away from where we wanted to come in anyway, so we're not too worried about that.
Alan, obviously the big talking point, and Klaus, you've been pinged for having jumped the start. How do you feel about that?
I can't say nothing about it. I can't understand the decision because it is probably I have the wrong passport. I don't know.
Okay, pit stop for the changeover between John Bowe and Dick Johnson.
See John just pulling out his little dicky seat that he sits in. There's a bit of a difference in size. Dick likes to sit a long way away from the steering wheel, and John sits with his nose almost touching the steering wheel, so they've made a special little plastic insert in the seat for him.
Yeah, the team very well drilled.
Good operation.
Engine just bubbling away as they prepare to finish off the gassing. Set of fresh Dunlops on.
Great stop.
Fuss-free. Let's check out how they're running as we pick them up at Skyline. Richards and Scaife go through to take over the lead. Getting close there for second, Percy and Grice. Allam and Radicic in third. Perkins and Mazir in fourth. Johnson and Bowe in fifth. 6th, Hansford and Judone. 7th, Fury and Price. 8th, Niedzwied and Biela. Crompton and Jones in 9th at the moment. And Seaton and Sears continue in the number 35, Peter Jackson Sierra. Show you how close Grice can get, and you'll notice the horsepower come into play here as the exit from Forest Elbow, and watch the Nissan and straight line.
Not too close, Gricey. That camera costs a lot of money.
They straighten out Conrod, straighten out. Just look at the power of the Nissan. Mark Scaife in the Nissan number 1 car, leading by about a second over Alan Grice, about 4.9 seconds then back to Jeff Allam in the second of the Dick Johnson cars, and then 1 second behind him is Dick Johnson himself back at the wheel of the 17 car. So it's very close. 2 hours 35 minutes into the Tooheys 1000. There's Brocky waiting for the change for Andy Rouse to come in, and he'll step back into the 05 car. And here's the gap. The race leader Mark Scaife in the Nissan 4-wheel steer number 1 car.
You can see the ground now. The Grice is pulled on the Nissan right up onto the tail of it again.
Fantastic stuff.
The Nissan, though, just awesome down this straight.
Yeah, 620 horsepower.
Well, what's happened here?
He's pulled wide there as they went into Forest Elbow. Now, if there's no problem with the car, he'll just shoot straight past again down the straight.
Well, all Gricey wants to do is lead this.
Well, he's doing it.
So the Holden Commodore comes from behind to pass the Nissan GT-R for the lead. Coming in, the 18 car that's run so strongly here today. Jeff Allen and Paul Radisich, the young Kiwi driver. All of Johnson's pit stops have been excellent. Crew well drilled. They have been in there for probably about 30 seconds at the moment. And Steve Titmus on the spot. Well drilled stop, Steve.
Yes, thanks very much, Mike. An absolutely near perfect stop for the Allen and Radisich car. They've changed the front brake pads as well as throwing on 4 new tyres and filling it up with gas.
The man who led the great race, Alan Grice, stepping out of the car, pit stop, has just made his way to the pits for Win Percy to take over. Very, very good pit stop this. And the information we had just prior to Grice coming into the pits that Mark Scaife had reported to his crew. Great stop. Fantastic stop from Win Percy. The news from Scaife was that he was having difficulty chasing Alan Grice because they have a brake problem. We take Dunlop race cam out of the number 17 Dick Johnson car. He continues the chase after Mark Scaife and the Nissan GT-R. The 18 car has already been in for a pit stop, and that would now move Larry Perkins up one more spot in the pack. Straight over 7's track cam as they head to the top of the mountain. A great driving stint from Alan Grice. Let's go to Alan in the pits.
Thanks very much, Mike. Alan Grice, great to see a Holden back out front there.
Yeah, the car's very strong, isn't it?
Mate, it's looking good. Have you been quietly confident the whole week?
Yes, we knew we had a very strong car and we had a strong chance. We didn't know how quickly we could run. We certainly didn't think that, you know, 15s would be on in qualifying and 18's on in the race, if you'd asked us last Wednesday.
Oh, and problems for the number 20 car. It is very, very warm. The second of the B&H Sierras. Larry Perkins has had just an off moment at the end of pit straight.
Larry was trying to catch Dick Johnson there for second place.
Okay, let's have a look and see what happened here as Perkins backs on out. Oh, there's one coming from the other side of Bathurst. That's the GIO Commodore.
It's been down to the driving.
Well, they've all managed to pick themselves up. Prima Holidays bring you the replay, and this is it when the Jones number 20 car, I think, has exploded. Yes, it has. He heads off to the inside part of the racetrack, and maybe Larry got caught in what he left on the ground.
Yeah, I think it would have left more than a bit of fluid around. Poor old Denny Holm, his race is run, and that's both of Frank Gardner's cars out now.
Sad day for Frank Gardner and the B&H team. In the meantime, the number 17 Dick Johnson car, Johnson out again after our race leader, Mark Scaife, in the number 1 Nissan GT-R.
And with Larry spinning out, the pressure is now off Dick Johnson just a little bit, and he's able to set about seeing what he can do to catch the Nissan up in front of him.
Get you the split on that shortly. Mark Scaife and the Nissan back to Dick Johnson, who is going back after him. He has been a little laid back this week. Okay, let's check out our Auto World Conrod comparisons. The 17 Johnson Bow car running 285 kilometres an hour, Needsvitz Biala 281, Percy Grice 278, and Longhurst and McLaughlin 276. So the Sierras, not a great deal between them, but Johnson's car certainly with a lot of grunt down Conrod Straight. Neil Crompton doing very well here with young Bradley Jones. Good to see two young guys given the opportunity by Holden. Holden competitive this year at Mount Panorama, and I think you'll find that Holden will be even more competitive in 1991 with their new package.
New package certainly looks like it might do the trick, but the old one's doing fairly well at the moment there. Crompton gets a little bit sideways out of the cutting as he makes his way past one of the back markers, and running well inside the top 10, just around about a lap down on the moment on the Nissan at the moment. The Nissan about 17 seconds ahead of the second place car of Dick Johnson.
Neil Crompton behind the wheel, so that car goes through. The Nissan Skyline is there as well. And a man who must be very, very disappointed today, Frank Gardner, team manager for the Benson and Hedges team. Everything looks so great early in the week for them, but it's all all fallen away for them today, race day. And with Frank Gardner, John Brady.
Yes, thanks, Mike. It certainly has. Frank, to start with 2 cars to start so well and have it finish so early, it must be horribly disappointing.
Yeah, I suppose I've seen it all before over many years, but you never get over the disappointment of the thing. You come here with well-prepared cars, but you just get caught out. The day didn't start right, and it never ever corrects itself once you start off on the wrong side of a little bit of technology. And we got behind the pace car with one car and it ran hot, didn't recover, so that put that one out. So we lost car 25 nice and early. And then this other car, of course, never made it back to the pit, so you don't really know what the problem is with it. But that is the end of the day. We can pack up and go home. The only thing we've saved is brake pads and fuel.
Is the 28 Playscape racing car driven by Kevin Waldock and Michael Preston. At the moment, running 13th in the great race. Kevin Waldock.
In the pits at the moment, watching the progress of Michael Preston. Playscape Sierra really is immaculately prepared. It is, I know it's a well-used saying, but it's so clean inside. You know, you can almost eat your dinner off it. It is perfect, the whole car.
They make their way to the top of the mountain.
The Ford Sierra, the RS500, 2-litre 16-valve twin-cam turbo. The gearbox, the Getrag 5-speed. The power, well, they'll give you lots of figures, but 580 brake horsepower, 1,180 kilograms of weight, and big brakes on the thing, 300mm 12-inch brakes on the front, inside of 17-inch wheels. A fair weapon for the mountain. It's won here for the last 2 years.
As the Nissan comes in, Mark Scaife about to step out, and Jim Richards to step in. John Harvey called the action.
Mark just getting into the car. This pit stop is all 4 wheels and changing the brakes, front and rear, 4 tyres, fuel, and so far it's going smoothly. Well, I'm right here at the front wheel. Andrew Barton is just trying to get those pads out, get the pistons back into place. So far it's running smooth. It's a rather long stop.
Jimmy Richards sits in the car. John, you've been to Bathurst many times. Look up in the sky and tell me what's about to happen, you believe, in the next hour.
Yes, you could be right, Mark. It could be a repeat of 1987, and I can assure you the teams have all got their wet tyres ready, and it should make for really good television.
Okay, there it goes. Back out onto the racetrack. Jim Richards back behind the wheel as we take the Nissan race cam. And the challenge for the 1990 great race continues, but it rejoins the race in 10th position. Because of the pit stop by the Nissan, here is your race leader. Dickie Johnson, car number 17. Number 9 car running, we believe, in 2nd spot. And car number 16 with Win Percy at the wheel, running back there in about 3rd. The Andrew Madecki, Charlie O'Brien, Ford Sierra, Mobil 1 car in the pits. Some problems there with Big Charlie in the car. Madecki was up to 16th on the road. As we pick up on our race leader, Dick Johnson, comes on to pit straight. And the likeable Queenslander leads the great race. I don't know if Dick would want to talk to us at the moment because he's got the Nissan Skyline, or the Nissan GT-R, I should say.
Wouldn't matter too, would it?
He's 1 lap down.
It wouldn't really matter at all, Mike.
Okay, Dickie. How's the car feel?
Well, except for the fact that as you can hear the whistle that it's got, it's obviously done a compressor wheel, and it wouldn't pull a sick baby off the family poo, actually.
You always had a way with words.
Well, got to have a way with something. We obviously haven't got too much of a way with turbo wheels. Because Jimmy's thing is just so quick out of the corners, it's unbelievable.
Yes, it has been quick. Dick, it must be delighted the fact that you have 2 cars running well within the top 10 here today. You came to Bathurst. Everyone else took the limelight away, including the Longhurst team, but paydays today, I guess, and you're able to keep it together.
Well, I hope so, Mike, because, you know, today's the day we all work for and work so damn hard. sincerely hope that a little bit of luck goes our way towards the end of the day. Like this bird here, like she's like an ashtray in a motorbike. Have a look at it, will you? Like I tell you what. God, would you believe that? Anyway.
That was interesting.
Well, at least you didn't stick me in the fence, which is unusual. But anyway, at least we can say hello to all our Kiwi friends that are watching, because there's a Kiwi about to go past me. Bye-bye.
It's got a bit of grunt, hasn't it?
It's got a bit of something.
Are you surprised it's still here and running competitively, Dick, this time of the race?
Mate, I think they had a fair bit of a windfall, I think, late on Saturday. And it was about then that I said to the guys, we're going to have trouble with this dude. But, you know, it's still only halfway, Mike. You never know what might happen.
It's a long way to go. Thanks for the chat. I'll let you get back to it.
My pleasure, pal.
Thanks, pal. David Sears, of course, teaming with the crew this weekend. George Fury back. Stephen Titmus there with Glenn Seaton.
Thanks very much, Mike. Well, Glenn, there's a lot of problems with the car. That was a terribly long pit stop. What's gone wrong?
It's got a problem with the clutch. The clutch is slipping all the way up the back straight and down the front straight. So we don't really know what's wrong with it, but that's the way it goes.
Oh, brake lock up in a violent one there for Jimmy Richards in the Nissan GT-R.
Nissan running in position number 6, but that was a severe brake lock-up coming down the mountain there. I hope we don't have more brake troubles with the Nissan.
The 17 car is back in the pits, and Steve Titmus to call the action.
Thanks very much, Mike. It's a driver change. Dick Johnson out of the car, John Bow in. They're also going to change the front brake pads as well, plus the normal routine of change tyres and refuel as well. It appears at this stage that it appears to be going quite smoothly. John appears to be buckled into the car quite nicely. Dick just giving him a few instructions. It's been, the turbocharger has been whistling, which was a problem which occurred last year. And then, as we know, last year the car did drop a bit of boost coming in towards the end of the race. So that same whistling problem has occurred once again this year.
It's actually the race analyst Alan Horsley picked that up some time back, a very noisy turbocharger that did worry the team last year. But Johnson's car is underway.
Still leading the race. Holden Commodore number 16 with Win Percy at the wheel. Second place, Sierra number 10. Second of Alan Moffat's cars, driven at the moment by German Frank Biela. The gap between those two leading cars is 18 seconds, and it's coming down by some 2 seconds a lap.
Lap 91 of 161, and the car that was running second on the road, the number 10 ANZ Sierra with Frankie Biela at the wheel, is in the pits, and there are a lot of long faces down there, John Brady.
This means Klaus Niedwitz. Klaus was about to do a driver change and a brake pad change. The car's up on blocks. Any idea what the problem is, Klaus?
Frank told me there's a noise on the rear axle somewhere, and just we have to look for which problem we have.
Mate, geez, your luck just doesn't get any better, does it?
Yeah, it looks really badly, but we still have another car, so I win.
Thanks, Klaus. And, mate, as you said, a lot of long faces around here at the moment, Michael. They are looking under the back of the car, as Klaus suggested, but no one's moving with a great deal of hurry at the moment. It looks like there's a fairly large problem with it.
And I was about to say the 17 car has dropped back, and that is Johnson's car.
Yeah, that looks like the turbo's finally cried enough. That white smoke is always a bad indication, dearie me. That looks like the turbo has had it for the day.
John Bauer brings in the 17 car. Well, you can't see much around the car.
There's smoke all over the place. You can barely see the guy get. There's Bauer. He's got smoke in his eyes. What a tragedy for Dick Johnson.
John Harvey on the scene down there.
John, what happened? Is it the turbo's gone?
Mate, I think the turbo's gone, but the car was all over the road, and I just thought it was like I had a puncture or something, and then next thing was smoke coming in the car, so obviously the turbo's gone. I don't know.
Maybe it's blown some oil over the rear tyres and maybe it's blown some oil over the rear tyres, made it difficult for you to drive before the...
Yeah, it did. I don't know what the cause of it is, anyway. That's life.
Bad luck, mate. It was a good try.
Thank you, John, and thank you, John. Well, the number 17 car be pushed behind the pit wall. Dick Johnson and John Bow. Their race has run in this car anyway. Here's our race leader, Win Percy, the number 16 Holden Commodore, sponsored by Telecom Mobiles. I think we expect that car in the pits probably next time around. And a pit stop also for the 18 car is not that far away. It's running second rather to the Holden at the moment. Paul Radicic will step out. Rob Gravitt will step in. Again, the Dulux Auto Colour race cam from the flight deck of the V8 Commodore. Win at the wheel.
That's a pretty healthy sight for Australian race fans. There's Australia's own. All the needles on the gauges pointing in the right direction. The engine sounding strong. Hello. They've got the Nissan's got a problem. Richard's slowing on Conrad. There's smoke billowing from the back of the car. And just when we were saying what a fantastic run it was having, look at this. Richards, he looks like he's just lost all drive in the car. He's limping down the straight. He's got a fair way to go still.
Yes, he has actually. Might even be lucky to make even the pit road. Been okay in the old days. You could just coast it straight down. Nissan was running third. Jim Richards at the wheel. Win Percy, race leader in car number 16. The Allen Gravitt car 18 running in second. This was third. That means Larry Perkins will probably now move up one spot.
And listen to the noise inside the car. That sounds dairy, man. There's something in the transmission's gone on that car. That sounds very, very serious.
It's all happening here at Mount Panorama.
All sorts of clunking and grinding and graunching going on there, and he's slowing down.
He's going to hold up race leader Win Percy coming into the pits.
Just hope he doesn't stop. No, he's going to be right. He's going to get into his pit.
Look at Percy. Oh, sideways. Bang, bang.
Okay.
So it's all happening here at Mount Panorama. Let's go down for this pit stop.
Yes, thanks, Mike. And there's a lot of concern, as you can imagine. Fred Gibson, the manager of the team, wasn't sure exactly what the problem was. He was talking about tail shafts to other pit members, but this is heartbreaking for Nissan. They seemed, just when they seemed out of the woods after everybody saying that they were going to have trouble, it looked like they'd got over it, but yeah, now it's hit in a big way. So the extent of it, we don't know. I'll find out shortly. In the meantime, John Harvey at the Holden pits.
Yes, thank you. This is probably one of the most crucial pit stops that these guys will ever do. It's going along on schedule at the moment. Brake pads are coming out. Just looking over the shoulder of the guys, I can see it there. Yeah, they're going in, the new ones.
Not only that, John, is busy down there. Freddie Gibson with Jimmy Richards and Mark Scaife. Their race is done, and here comes the 18 car into the pits as well. John, right behind the Percy and Alan Grice Holden Commodore, so it is all happening in the pit area. There you can see there's the 18 car in the pits, and just along to the right of it you'll see the race leader's car, Win Percy.
Okay, we've got a problem with the Holden too. That's been in there for 1 minute 40 seconds. The bonnet's up.
What seems to be the problem down there, John?
Right, okay, they're having difficulty getting the pistons back in the calipers so they can get the new pads in, which are obviously much thicker than the worn-out ones. They've just completed that. The new pads are going, and this is a disastrous stop. It's about 2 minutes 20 at the moment, but I think they're starting to look good now. They should be out of here in about another 10-15 seconds. A disaster.
Yes, it certainly is. Everything was going so well for them. That, of course, puts the Alan Radicic car, the second Johnson car, up in the lead. It also moves Peter Brock up. Alan Grice sits behind the wheel of the Commodore 18, of course. The second Dick Johnson Sierra, the only Dick Johnson Sierra still running, is now the race leader. Gricey's got some ground to pull back on that car.
Okay, he's out of the pits in 2 minutes 50 seconds. Lost almost 3 minutes in that stop, and that is pretty well a lap and a half.
As we follow the 18 car across the top of Mount Panorama.
While all that drama's been happening, the 10 car, which was going so well with Klaus Niedzwitz and Frank Biela, is still in the pits. And this man has been making up places like you wouldn't believe.
Well, of course, those pit stops have given Larry Perkins just the break that he needed. Back in the 11 car, the computer lap score shows Larry has now taken the lead away from the 18 car because of that pit stop. And, of course, Alan Grice back in third spot. So it all changed there in a matter of 3 or 4 minutes. Perkins was in for a pit stop a little earlier. It worked rather well for him. It was a very quick stop. So Perkins and Thomas Mazzera. Larry at the wheel of the Holden at the moment, coming up on the Dillman-Cotter car.
Trouble for the number 30 car. It looked like a scheduled stop. George Fury was hopping in the car from David Searle. He was going to take the next 2 shifts. Now Fury, after the change, everything was fine. Came off the stands. They reckon first it was a clutch problem. Now the gear is locked, and Fury in awful trouble there, as you can see, trying to get it unlocked. They've been rocking the car backwards and forwards to get it out of gear. But it looks like, in fact, they may have been able to do that because they're trying to roll it. Although, is it still jammed? It's not pushing.
No troubles at the moment, John, for Larry Perkins in the Perkins Engineering Castrol Commodore. They've been running very, very strongly indeed. Throughout the race, Perkins, the leader, holding about a 17-second advantage over Jeff Allen and the number 18 Shell Sierra. Then a fair gap back to Alan Grice. Car number 10 has also rejoined in 22nd place as we go back to John in the pits.
Yeah, mate, as you can see, they're still trying to sort out the car, and there it goes. Trying to unlock it. They lifted it up on the jack, got the gears moving, and then bounced it down. And as you saw, George Fury taking off. Farmer George really digging up some dirt.
As we follow Larry Perkins up towards Repco Corner. Castrol Commodore running superbly. Larry Perkins, of course, 40 years of age. Comes from Melbourne. 13 starts in the great race. Best result, a win here in 82, 83 and 84 with Peter Brock. 7 in 79, 80, third in 77. He knows his way around Mount Panorama. Career highlights, of course. Just happened to notice there the Peter Jackson Sierra is stalled on the way up to the top of the mountain. That is not the place you park at Mount Panorama. Let me tell you, the exit to BP cutting, he's going to try and see if he can fire it, or he's going to reverse it into that little area. Ray Lintott, Gary Rush car going through one of the Corollas, and also I think he's overshot the area there anyway. He's trying to back in, but he's going to be hard in against the wall unless some of the marshals can assist. At least he's off the racing line there.
I seem to recall Alain Ferté last year had a problem with one of Glenn Seaton's cars, and he was stuck in the middle of the road at one point.
Very disappointed, dejected Glenn Seaton. Let's go down to Johnny Brady.
Well, Glenn, it doesn't get any better, does it?
No, it looks like another clutch in the other car, so really I don't know what's going on with the clutches, because we've never ever had a clutch problem, and we never had one through the week, so that's motor racing.
In the last couple of years up here, you've had some awful luck. There was 2 years ago you didn't get around the first lap, 2 clutches today. Oh, it's got it going again.
Oh, that's good.
So you can just hear the jubilation in the pits there. They've got it up and running.
That's right. Hopefully we can keep it going for the rest of the day. But if we can't, hopefully it's third time lucky.
Here comes Larry Perkins. Car number 11, the Perkins Engineering Castrol Commodore, about to hand over to Thomas Mazzera. Take it away, John.
Okay, as I said, this is a regular pit stop. Don't expect too many problems. It should be fairly quick. The driver changeover is going quite well. New wheels are on now. They should be away very, very quick. I think it's going to be a very good stop for them. Yep, it's just the driver changes that's holding up the stop. That's finished now. 35 seconds, Mike. That's a little slower than what they would have expected.
Lap 108 of 161. You can cram a lot of work into a day, and a lot of driving, and a lot of pit stops, as we've seen with the Peter Brock Mobile 1 racing team today. Enormous problems in the early part of the day with tyres, but the car, through consistency and through the persistency of the drivers Peter Brock and Andy Rouse, have managed to bring the car up to 4th place, and we still have a long way to go in this race. Larry Perkins, meanwhile, has done an excellent job, and the number 11 car has handed over to Thomas Mazzera. He knows what the winning feeling is like at Mount Panorama. Let's go to the pits for a chat with Larry.
Thank you, Mike. Larry Perkins, did you expect to be in this position at lap 108?
Well, I know we're close to the front. There's only one position I want, and it's too early to start calling that one.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Larry. Well, as you can see, back out on the racetrack again, Mark Scaife has taken over the #1 Nissan GT-R. It rejoined the race in 21st position. And I think it's certainly well and truly out of contention, but they are going to prove that this car can still run strongly. CV joint put down as the problem. Let's go to the pits. Andy Rouse. Whoa, sideways out of the pits. Andy certainly hasn't got to worry about warming up the tyres now. They're warm. Still running 4th in the race. Andrew Bagnall and Robbie Francevic for our viewers in New Zealand. The TV3 entry. They've been running very reliably. The Gulliver Travels Ford Sierra.
Yeah, this is the sister car to the Ross Stone prepared Waldock Preston car. And if this has been prepared to anything like the standard of the Waldock car, as you'd expect from Ross Stone, this car should be around about in 1,000 kilometres. It's in 12th position at this stage and looking good. A lot of experience in the driving seat.
23rd position. And he goes underneath that camera. It's a great shot, that, isn't it? Another Nissan here, the HR31, Chris Lambden and Greg Crick.
Lambden now running in 14th position. The Bow Repairs Skyline. Competed in a few rounds of the Touring Car, actually in all rounds of the Touring Car Championship. There's certainly no problem with reliability in this thing. They finished every race.
An ex-factory car, that one, with some money from Bow Repairs. Chris has been able to mount a pretty substantial effort through the Touring Car Championship, and here at Bathurst. He's a Melbourne journalist.
Well, we're looking at the #9 car, the ANZ Sierra, but the news of the moment is that Jeff Allam's car is leading #18, Dick Johnson about to get in it, Larry Perkins 2nd, Wyn Percy 3rd, Peter Brock 4th and Neil Crompton 5th. So there are 3 Commodores in the top 5.
Jeff Allam in Shell car #18. Dick Johnson to step into this car in a few laps' time. And what a great luxury it is for these guys to be able to run 2 car teams.
Not only that, but Paul Radicic, the scheduled co-driver for the car, is also standing around with a helmet. So we'll have to wait and see. Let's go down to Steve Titmus, and with him hopefully is Dickie Johnson.
Thanks very much, Mike. Dick Johnson, you're hoping to get into the #18 car, but you might know whether you can or not.
We're sort of hedging our bets here, because if I can't fit in the seat, well, we've got a few problems, but it is adjustable seat, and if I get somewhere near it, it'll be okay.
So even if it's a little bit tight, you might be able to scoop yourself in.
Well, if it's a bit tight, we'll have to stick the little Kiwi back in.
Here's Bryce and Percy coming into the pits.
Take it away, John Brady.
Imagine this stop absolutely critical. It's been going for now about 8 seconds. Alan Grice sitting there patiently. They have to 11 seconds it's up to now. They have to get all of these tyre changes done quickly. And of course, the gamble with this rain, there's going to be a few spins. But for both Grice, for Perkins, for Johnson, this is where the race can be won and lost. 21 seconds, 22 seconds, 23 seconds, 25. Just waiting for some more juice to go in. And they're going away now. He's away in 30 seconds.
That's a good stop.
Certainly is.
And problems here for the Peter Jackson Sierra. George Fury huffing and puffing its way across the top of Mount Panorama. It doesn't look well. Just another Sierra with problems here in the closing stages of the Tooheys 1000.
And here comes the 18 car.
Jeff Allam coming into the pits. Who is going to take over? It will be Johnson. Now the choice of tyres, whether the wets go on or the slicks go back on.
Actually, Steve
Okay,
down here,
Steve,
Mike,
take it
so
away.
as John said earlier with the Holden stop, this one is just as crucial.
Did you see what happened?
Just saying, look, it's running 24, 25 seconds at the moment, this stop. And it looks as if Johnson hasn't been able to fit into the car. And so it looks as if it's going to be Radicic who will have to drive the car to the end of the race.
I noticed John Bow down there also helping out, so that's disappointment. Dick would like to drive this home to victory, but you can't do it if you can't squeeze in the seat.
You certainly can't. This pit stop has now gone 45, 46, 47 seconds. So time's ticking away.
And what a responsibility for the young Radicic to bring this thing home.
Yes. Thumbs up from Dick Johnson, and Radicic out on the track in 54, second. So
18, of course, rejoining the race in second place. So Thomas Mazera, car number 11, running at the head of the pack. And Peter Brock, just in and out of the pits, hasn't dropped a spot. Still runs fourth on the road at the moment. We've had coming together at the top of the mountain here, car number 37, which I think is one of the Callahan cars, has whacked the wall. Yes. Now, whether or not that will bring out the, at Forest Elbow, the exit there, Toledo Tools turn.
The situation at the lead at the moment is Perkins still leading by 25 seconds, but that's sort of negated because he still has to make a stop. The real battle for the lead is between Radicic in the 18 car and Alan Grice in the HRT Commodore, and the gap between those two is 13 seconds.
Here's our camera sitting on the wall. Pow, it just never made the turn. The car has gone straight ahead, airborne, hit the wall, and has bounced back onto the racetrack. And what is that? The pace car is back on the racetrack, which will close up the field. Make life very, very interesting for the final sprint to the checkered flag here at Mount Panorama in this 1990 edition, Tooheys 1000. That has had a heavy clout into the wall.
While the pace car is out there, he really doesn't want to have to come into the pits because, as we said before, he'll get held at the end of the pit lane.
Well, many questions still to be answered. Let's go down to Johnny Brady.
Worrying indeed, because in fact what they were planning to do was bring Thomas Mazera in on that last lap and take the risk on the half lap. They've been stewing in this pit for a long while about how long they could hold off before they had to decide on tyres. It's a critical stop. They've got to change pads as well. So obviously everything coming into the equation, and coming down Conrod Straight last time they lost radio contact with Thomas, and he didn't come in the pits because he didn't get the message. That's why they were so frantically signalling to him. They want him in the pits now.
Into the pits comes Bradley Jones in the number 7 car, and Thomas Mazera coming in the number 11 car. Watch this for quick pit action, and the 18 car in as well. They're all in.
I'm with Perkins.
Okay, John Brady, take it away.
Yes, and this stop, as we've said, so critical for the race leader, running 15 seconds at the moment. He's got to do the oil, he's got to do a changeover for Larry Perkins in the driver's seat, and of course the longest part of it all is going to be changing the brake calipers. The pit stop going at 40 seconds, the engine started 42. This is a great pit stop for a full change, and they're getting the wheel nuts up now, 47, 48. Perkins really will be happy with this. 50 and 52 seconds.
Gee, really great pit stop. Crowd comes alive along here on pit straight, but I think you'll find that he maybe has missed the cue, has he? Yes. Gee whiz, that is bad luck. Let's go to Steve Tidbus now with Dick Johnson.
Thanks very much, Michael. Dick Johnson, the team's jumping up and down. That was a sensational pit stop.
Well, Steve, it's like this, as I said at the beginning of the race, or even yesterday, that this race is going to be won on pit stops, and that's exactly what it's down to now. So it's just a matter of those two guys racing to the flag.
Win. Your car is looking like you could win the race.
Well, it depends on this POM here with the second Dick Johnson car. I mean, although they're behind us on the road now, we're behind the same pace car. We're a little bit concerned as to whether we can go to the finish on the fuel we've got. It really is going to be the very last lap, so.
Pace car into the pits. Time to get the hammer down and get back and see where we're going for 161 laps. Only 29, I think, or so left. So it'll be Alan Grice in the number 16 car, clear of the number 18 car. Some great pictures there from our race cam to the right-hander now.
Conditions in which Alan Grice revels, just loves this sort of tight, hard racing. He's got to worry about the weather, he's got to worry about the car, he's got to worry about fuel, and he's only got a few laps which to do it all.
Well, here's the second placed car in the race, the number 18 Dick Johnson Shell Sierra, driven by New Zealander Paul Radicic, at the moment sitting behind Bradley Jones in the number 7 car. The Perkins Mazera car runs third on the road.
Bit of teamwork on Bradley's part going on here, possibly.
So Brad Jones in the 7 Holden Commodore. over the track cam as they head up Mountain Straight to the left-hander at BP. Going to be a fairly wide Commodore across the top of the mountain. Brad has done a great job, along with Neil today in the number 7 Commodore. Once again across Skyline, down to the S's. Grice skipping away just a little bit in the 16 car. Paul Radicic in 18 runs second. The Perkins Mazira car in third, and Peter Brock and Andy Rouse in fourth.
Okay, here's Alan Grice. We're back in the number 16 car, the race leader. And Gricey will be relishing this at the moment.
Radicic has just pulled back 1 second on the last lap. So it's 14 in arrears with how many laps to go?
Be 14 now, wouldn't it?
Something like that.
Yeah. The Holden fans going wild on top of the mountain. They've been pretty quiet in virtual hibernation for the last 3 or 4 years. The Commodore, initially in Group A regulations, as the years went by, became less and less a competitive proposition. But the Holden Racing Team, and full credit to them, have put an enormous amount of development work in on this car. And it has been right on the pace all day. Fantastic effort.
Once again to Forest Elbow. Rice coming up, I believe it could well be the Chris Lambden car. As he heads down under the Geo Bridge, bound for Caltex Chase. The right-hand king coming up shortly.
Rice is flashing his lights at the slower car. That's the Lambden Crick Skyline. Shoots past. Gricey's really on the boil.
Great to see for Alan.
They don't come much better than this guy.
Wynn can hear us in the pits. That right, Wynn?
Yes, I can hear you.
Just speak up a little bit. Would you like to talk to your driver and bring in all of our viewers to the little conversation? Take it away.
Okay, Mike. Can you hear me, Gricey?
Yes, Will, I got you.
You did a grand job, buddy. I can't quite believe it.
Not over yet, mate. We've got a few laps to go, yeah?
I know there is, buddy. There's 11 to go. We're just keeping our fingers crossed for you, but it looks pretty good.
Okay, I'm sort of trying to keep that gap at the moment, keep the revs down as well. We've certainly got enough fuel to get home, but Wally just wants to make sure, so I brought those revs down to 7.2, as you can see, and that'll save us a lot of fuel. So I guess we'll get in away heavy there, Win.
For an old guy, you're doing pretty well, mate. I tell you what, this team manager's job's worse than ever driving a motor car. Keep it up, buddy. I'll see you soon.
Okay, Win.
Thank you, Win. Thank you, Alan. Ah, the better halves have joined us, Mrs. Percy and Mrs. Grice. Should smile, girls. There's not that long to go. Here he comes, Paul Radicic.
Yep.
Little barbecue going on the top of Mount Panorama, is it, or along Pitt Straight?
A few of the boys burning some Sierra flags, I think.
I think this gap is down appreciably. 6 laps to go. Just waiting to time the gap as Paul Radicic goes across the line. About 13 seconds, 12 to 13 seconds.
2 seconds a lap.
Yes, Mike, it's going to be borderline. There's no doubt about it. As you're aware, Alan has backed off a little bit on RPM to save or conserve fuel. The guys here are a little bit worried that he may have to come in. We won't know for a few laps. It's just going to be so close. But, I mean, Alan will be on the mountain or somewhere around the circuit. It gives one cough. He'll have to come in.
Nick in the same situation as last year. Laid back about it. Can he do it? He would be aware of our call, the fact that Grice is marginal on gas.
Gricey on the way up the mountain for the 3rd last time.
You can see in the background there's the red Sierra just coming onto the straight. So they're the length of Mountain Straight apart. So it'll be interesting to see over the next lap or so how close they get now.
So they might be measuring the fuel back there in the pits, but Gricey's just cranked out a 2-minute 18 lap just to let them know that they're all fair dinkum.
Yeah.
So the gap has opened up again to about 15 seconds. A lap and a half to go. Have you got enough gas, Al?
Yeah, we're looking pretty good, Mike. Anyway, it's a bit expensive to buy up here on top of the mountain.
Yes, the crew looked a little nervous with the churn out there.
Everybody's nervous with 11.5 to go, mate. I've cut the revs back. We certainly, we've done this number of laps before today, and I'm actually running less revs, as you can see. So, quite sure we'll make it. Are you having a nice day, Michael?
I'm having not a bad day at all, Alan. I think a lot of Holden supporters are having a wonderful day.
Yeah, there'll be a few Holden-wise oil changes tomorrow, perhaps. I don't know if this thing really needs to go in for service.
I tell you, give Win Percy cardiac arrest if you pull into the pits and then keep going.
No, I don't think they'll put it in for service. It's only done 1,000 Ks.
I think there's a nice sign coming up for you here now. What does it say?
Last lap, it's a nice little sign.
You want to talk us through it, Alan?
Yeah, not a problem. This has been a problem all day, the little cars, but by and large, they've been very good. How did my Peter Jackson Search for Champion boys go today, Mike?
They dropped out, Alan, but the boys, I thought, did a great job, and as I've said earlier, I thought it was a great project involving not only yourself, but guys like Johnny Smith and Jim Richards, who all came along to try and discover Australian talent.
Yeah, I'm very proud of them. They put himself on the grid at the biggest race in Australia, and they got 20 cars behind them. I thought, boy, I did the right thing. I picked the right guys.
I'm sure you did. I tell you what, look at the Holden fans out here on the right as you come across the top of Skyline. You could probably hear the applause from here.
I can. There's some happy boys and sick heads up here.
Got time to give them a wave?
I'll be doing that.
Fans on top of the mountain, here he comes.
Mate, they love the Commodores.
Oh, look at them. You've made their day.
Somebody's put oil all over the road there. I only just saw it. I was a bit busy looking at the crowd. But there's oil all over the road back there. Bradley, watch out for that. Oil all the way down the mountain.
Little slippery out of there too?
Yes. Well, whoever's laying the oil, if they're doing it on the last lap, I hope they make it home.
It's been great to ride with you and Win Percy with our 7 Dulux Auto Colour race cam, Alan.
Well, it's been an absolute privilege to drive this motor car, I can assure you of that. It has the most brilliant brakes I've ever felt in a touring car. I think the boys have done a superb job to build the winning motor car.
Under the bridge, coming down to the final corner. Checkered flag time. Crowd absolutely berserk. Last turn, checkered flag. How does it feel? Tooheys champ, Alan Grice.
It's the best feeling I've had since 1986, I'm going to tell you.
Well done, son. You've driven superbly.
Thanks, Mike.
I guess that answers a few critics, and I guess it puts Holden back with a very strong challenger with a new car for 1991.
I think we're just about ready for Win Percy and Alan Grice. And the Minister for Sport in New South Wales, Bob Rowland-Smith, will present the Tooheys 1000 trophy to the winning team, the Holden dealer team of Percy and Grice. So we'll just get Win's attention in a moment. Win, if you'd like to accept the trophy.
It weighs a bloody ton.
It does weigh a ton. Win, if you'd like to put that down for, well, show it to the crowd. I think you and Alan. Win, as team manager, it must give you an extra special thrill.
Well, I can't quite believe it. It's pretty good for a whole new team. But when I asked Alan to drive, I really did know that I was taking the best Australian driver here at Bathurst. So between us, we've done it, and I'm really proud of it.
Well, Gricey, Win's just described you as the best Australian driver at Bathurst. You must feel like that right now.
He's very biased.
Okay, a big cheer for Alan Grice and Win Percy.
the champions.
The Tooheys 1000, Alan Grice and Win Percy winning in the Commodore. As we check the top 10, and we see it's been a tremendous day for the Commodores. The Holden team first past the post. Second, the Shell Racing team, Jeff Allen and Paul Radicic. Dick Johnson not able to get into that car. Larry Perkins and Thomas Mazira from the Perkins engineering team in third place. Then Brock and Andy Rouse, they had a lot of problems early and did pretty well to finish fourth. Another Holden team, Commodore of Neil Crompton and Brad Jones in fifth placing. Then Waldock and Preston in their Sierra sixth. Bagner and Francevic seventh. O'Brien and Sampson, what a good story that was, from 31st on the grid eighth. Nietzvich and Biela, well, they had an up-and-down day, the ANZ Sierras, for Alan Moffat and Lambden and Crick in their Skyline in 10th place. But there's only one winner at Bathurst, and it's the Holden team, Alan Grice and also Win Percy. And Alan Grice has joined us in the studio. Congratulations, Alan. There was a wonderful reaction to your win today.
Yeah, it was good, wasn't it?
It must give you goosebumps.
Yeah, right across the top of the mountain, and they started about 15 laps to go. And, you know, I've been around for a while, but even so, you've got to concentrate all that more when those things are going on to distract you, because you lose your concentration for a tenth of a second's all over.
I think one of the great things about the victory today was that it was a tough one, because there were a number of times that you fell away from the lead and you had to fight your way back.
Yes, I'm sure that made for a great telecast and made for a lot of hard work for us, but there were times, well, right from the beginning, Win had a clutch problem at the start, fell from 6th back to 16th. In fact, could have been further back and came through to 4th, and that was a great drive. And then on 3 occasions during my sessions, something would happen with a stop. We'd be delayed with pads, or the pace car would split things up. And suddenly you're 4th and 5th again, and you've got to chase them and nail them and kick them to death one at a time.
Alan, congratulations. You have won the race before, but I guess today's one of the great days in your life.
Yes, because of the nature of the win. We really had to claw our way back there 3 or 4 times, and that makes it all the more worthwhile.
Well, Win Percy's put together a tremendous team. I know you'll celebrate tonight.
We certainly shall.
Yeah. Alan Grice, the winner of the Tooheys 1000, along with Win Percy today and the Holden team. It has been a tremendous race. I hope you've enjoyed it on 7 Sport, right around the network. A day that we will remember, because the General came back to town and Commodore won the great race.
Race cam in for you, Charlie. Can you set it?